Hi everyone, this is Manas, your friend and tutor, and in today's session, it's going to be all about my book recommendations for all you mechanical engineers. Now, to start this session, first of all, let me give you a very brief classification of mechanical engineering. It is basically divided into three parts. One is design, one is thermal engineering, one is production engineering. Now, as far as design is concerned, all the recommendations will solely be mine. Okay, let me be very honest. As far as production and thermal engineering goes, their recommendations or recommendations of books on those disciplines have solely been based on my fellow colleagues and also some of my students who right now are in Delhi and Hyderabad preparing for engineering services and GATE examination. So their recommendations are also equally important. So first of all, let us begin today's session with the elementary subject of engineering drawing. Okay, my go-to book has always been this one, Engineering Drawing by N.D. Bhatt. But some of the students which I have come across also tell me, sir, that this book is also equally good, Engineering Drawing. If you are an engineering services aspirant, well, questions based on engineering drawing in the prelims paper were directly asked from this book. So do give it a read, right? So if I were to purchase any one book out of these three, N.D. Bhatt, Dhananjay Chole and P.H. Gill, well, I will be purchasing this one, Engineering Drawing. So if you want to give it a sort of extensive reading, if you want more theory, then you can always go for P.H. Gill. This is equally good and it has a lot of examples also. But since as a student, this book has really helped me. So I have a special love, a special corner in my heart for this very book because my entire channel is based on Engineering Drawing by N.D. Bhatt, right? So if I were to purchase any one, I'll go for N.D. Bhatt. Second, Engineering Mathematics. Well, it's no surprise the best book is B.S. Grewal. This is the best book. If you are a university student who is pursuing his B.Tech program, this is your go-to book, B.S. Grewal. Okay? Does not matter if your teacher in the classroom is good or bad, you will be able to understand each and every concept via this book, Higher Engineering Mathematics by B.S. Grewal. Such is the quality. And if you are a GATE aspirant or an engineering services aspirant, well, then this book, well, Engineering Mathematics from ADC publication, this is going to be very comprehensive, very comprehensive. I heard a lot about this book. Okay, so go for it, especially if you're an aspirant of engineering services or the GATE examination. So, two done. Next, mechanics. So this is my zone, engineering mechanics. The best book. First of all, let me tell you, when I was a student of engineering, I was doing my BE course and I was in the first year of engineering. We used to read a lot of Indian author books. Okay, so teachers used to tell us, guys, read the book by Beer and Johnson, Ferdinand Beer. Okay, Beer and Johnson. Let me show you. That's Beer and Johnson. We thought it's an English author. Would we be able to understand its language or not? So we were sort of very reluctant. We were sort of very hesitant in picking up a book by an English author. But trust me, guys, ever since I became a teacher, so as a teacher, you have to read a lot. You have to be very analytical because students in front of you are going to pose some tough questions. They are going to ask some tough questions and you have to be ready for that. So you need to pull up your socks. And since then, ever since I've stepped into teaching, I have read chapters from this book twice or thrice. The chapters on vectors, the chapters on dynamics, I have read it twice or thrice. Let me tell you quite honestly, and it's so enjoyable. The language is so classic, the language is so elegant, so fluent. I mean, you'll immediately fall in love with this book of vector mechanics by Beer and Johnson, and even the illustrations. If you happen to get the colored version of this book, well, man, there is nothing beautiful in this world than this book on vector mechanics. Let me tell you very clearly, such is the aura and how well it has been written in such a casual language. And one more thing which I have seen as far as this book is concerned, they initially, in order to introduce the concept, they involve very less mathematics. Okay, and this is really encouraging for any student to keep on reading the chapter further. Sometimes what happens when you start reading, if you try to involve a lot of mathematics into it, then the reader is no longer stimulated to go further into reading, right? So that is a problem. So remember, this is my go-to book. If you're a mechanical engineer, you should have a copy. You should definitely have a copy of Vector Mechanics by Pierre and Johnson, and try to solve the solved problems as well as the unsolved problems, at least some of them. You'll really get a very good idea of the stuff happening around you. Okay, so enter the world of mechanics and do that by Pierre and Johnson, right? I especially own a copy of this particular book. And then for Indian universities, this is sort of a problem with the sort of Indian mindset. They are not very much interested in the theory. They are very much interested in solving a particular problem, right? But ultimately, as a teacher, I have now realized it is equally important to be good at the theory as well as the numerical or the analytical part. So if you want to solve more problems, well, then this is going to help you. S.S. Bhavikatti. This is going to help you. And especially one more book is very popular. That is a book by A.K. Tayal. That is also quite popular. Okay. And when I was doing my engineering, there was a book named Timoshenko and Young, if I'm not wrong, Engineering Mechanics by Timoshenko. That was also quite popular. But again, there are n number of books, but my personal recommendation is going to be only Vector Mechanics. Okay. So if your examination is very much numerical based, then you should also solve examples from S.S. Bhavikatti. This is quite a good book, right? Mechanics of solids. Okay, again my zone, again design. Mechanics of solids. That's the best. This is the best ever book, R.C. Hibbeler. I know people are going to argue. So we've heard about Popov, we've heard about Timoshenko Gere, we've heard about some other books also, B.C. Punamia. Let me tell you, I've not gone through those books. I mean, it's not possible. I'll try to go through them also, but this really steals my heart. R.C. Hibbeler, Mechanics of Materials. The language is so easy. The illustrations are so beautiful. The 3D diagrams are so wonderful that you will immediately fall in love with the subject. And let me tell you, if you can manage to go through the first 3 to 4 chapters, you're bound to fall in love with Mechanics of Materials. This is also known as Mechanics of Solids, aka Strength of Materials, whatever you may call it. Mechanics of Deformable Bodies also. Wonderful book. R.C. Hibbeler, my salute to him. One of the finest creation in mechanical engineering. R.C. Hibbeler. He's a civil engineer, by the way. This is predominantly a subject of civil engineering, and a salute to all the civil engineers from a mechanical engineer. Wonderfully written, right? And he also is a professor in the University of Illinois, if I'm not wrong. Okay, let's not get into that part. He's a wonderful human being, and this book on mechanics of materials for all civil and mechanical engineering is a boon for all of us. So salute to Mr. R.C. Hibbeler. And then this book, if you want to solve a large number of examples, if you want to go through a large number of examples, then this is going to be a very good addition to your bookshelf. Okay, S. Ramamurtham, wonderfully written, right? Okay, we'll not talk much about it. Next is fluid mechanics, right? Fluid mechanics, again, this is rather an abstruse concept, a rather abstruse subject, and it will become complicated for you if you have not done well in your class 11th. In your class 11th, you actually are introduced to fluid mechanics, mechanical properties of liquids. Remember, chapter, I don't know exactly the chapter number in CBSE curriculum, but there is a chapter on fluid mechanics, right? Mechanical properties of fluids, I guess. If you have gone through the chapter very well, then no matter which book you pick up, you'll understand all the concepts very well. But if you don't know anything about fluid mechanics, and if you want to start right from the scratch, then these two recommendations, one Modi and Seth and the other Frank M. White. This is Frank M. White, right? Frank M. White, where is it? Yeah. These two books are going to be very, very helpful. They've been wonderfully written, and they actually start right from the scratch. They'll explain you everything, right from what is pressure, right from what is atmospheric pressure, and what is gauge pressure, and all of that stuff. So, I mean, as a student, as a reader, what do you expect? The start of a chapter is very important. How the author introduces you towards a particular chapter, how the author gives you an introduction of pressure, what is the notion, and what is the physical relevance of pressure, I mean, all of these things are equally important, right? So as a reader, you should immediately be hooked into the subject, and then only the book can be referred to as a good book. And these two recommendations are excellent, let me tell you, both Frank M. White and Modi and Seth, right? I personally own a copy of these two books. Anyway, thermodynamics. Okay. In my teaching career, there was a time I was given this subject of thermodynamics. I was quite young back then, so there were only two books which I had recommended, rather read, not recommended, which was rather recommended to me by some of my seniors. One of them was this, Thermodynamics and Engineering Approach by Sengel and Bowles, if I am not wrong, Michael Bowles, yeah. Then there was this book, Engineering Thermodynamics. So let me just tell you a very short story. I initially picked up this book by P.K. Nag. Now P.K. Nag, Professor P.K. Nag is a professor in IIT Kharagpur or IIT Kanpur, please correct me if I am wrong. So I picked up this book. So I was very weak in thermodynamics, to tell you quite honestly. But I picked up his book and I started reading. It has been written very nicely, but it's very brief. The contents explained have been done so in a very brief manner. So I kept it aside. Okay, I got the book issued from the library, I kept it aside. And then I took a look at this book, Thermodynamics, an Engineering Approach by Sengel and Bowles, Eunice Sengel. This, let me tell you, I just breezed through the first 5 to 6 chapters. It was so enjoyable. It was as if you are reading a piece of fiction, you are reading a novel. This has been written in it has been written in an elaborative way. A lot of theory is involved. Mathematics is also there, and as a mechanical engineer, you have to be very good with calculus, both differential as well as integral calculus, to understand the elements of mechanical engineering. You have to be good at that. Okay, and I understood everything about thermodynamics, each and every cycle, and then I switched for solving problems based on P.K. Nag, or solving problems given by Mr. P.K. Nag. And you'll be surprised that this theory over here from Sengel and Bowles complements perfectly all the numericals that are written by Mr. P.K. Nag. It's going to be excellent. So my recommendation to you will be, I don't know which books are you are going to purchase, that is your personal choice, but this, if you want to read the theory, right, if you want to build the concept, the book by Eunice Sengel is going to be awesome. Read each and every chapter, reread it twice, thrice, 4 times, no matter what. And if you're a teacher, then you should definitely read it. Okay, and then try to solve the problems from this book of Engineering Thermodynamics by P.K. Nag. This combination is going to be deadly, let me tell you. If you do that, I mean, all these concepts are really going to help you develop better and understand better the subjects in the form of refrigeration, subjects in the form of heat and mass transfer. Right? Moving ahead, here we go. Theory of machines. Again, this is my zone. I'm going to be making content of theory of machines also, don't worry. Right? At least all the design subjects I will be covering up, and taking thermodynamics also. Anyway, this is the go-to book. No need to study anything else. This is the go-to book, S.S. Ratan. You should own a copy. Every mechanical engineer must own a copy of S.S. Ratan. But remember, you have to be very good at vectors. This subject involves a lot of vectors. So in your 11th grade, if you were weak in vectors, make sure that you get better with understanding the idea and notion of a vector, and then only will you be able to work out everything in this concept, in this topic of theory of machines, because you have to go through balancing. You'll see a lot of vector applications. You have to go through velocity analysis. You have to go through acceleration analysis. All of these concepts require a lot of vectors. Heavy vector application is there. So you have to be good, first of all, good at vectors. Now, the second book recommendation, and both of them are going to be quite useful for both government examinations as well as for university preparation. This book apparently is also quite good, because the explanations given for each and every problem, because I actually referred this book by Mr. Bansal particularly for chapters gyroscope, particularly for chapter balancing, and I found the explanation to those numerical problems to be very satisfying. Let me tell you quite honestly, the explanations are very deep. Once you read them, you'll understand the entire idea. Okay, so these are my book recommendations. Before purchasing these two books, get them issued from the library. Just go through them, read them, and then based on your experience, you can purchase either. Okay, machine design, again, this is my zone. The best book is by VB Bhandari, no doubt about that. And another book which I was suggested by some of my fellow colleagues was by Shigley. So I sort of didn't get the emotional connect with the book. If I don't get that emotional connect, I won't recommend it. Okay, but this was recommended. Maybe you can make that connect with Shigley. But my recommendation for the university, for the GATE examination or engineering services examination is going to be the book Design of Machine Elements by VB Bhandari. An excellent book, Do read it, do solve the numericals, and this is going to be very important. Now, for studying this subject, in fact, as a mechanical engineer, you need to be very good at mechanics of solids. This rather is a extended version of mechanics of solids. Okay, by design, it does not mean that you need to draw something. No, nothing of that sort. What you need to be required is, as in calculating the diameter of a shaft, okay, calculating the number of tooths in a gear and all the different elements, right? So that is designed for you, right? IC engines, one book. Don't even think of anything else. V Ganeshan, that's the book that I would be recommending. Then material science. Okay, people call this the Bible of material science. Callister, wonderful book, wonderful. Now this has been recommended to me from some of my subscribers who are at present in Delhi. A wonderful book from Callister, Material Science and Engineering. Do read it. They tell me, sir, if you start reading this book, you'll immediately fall in love. Callister's Material Science and Engineering. Do read it. And the one by UC Jindal is also very popular these days among the engineering services and GATE aspirants. So again, the choice is for you, right? And you can refer both of them, and then based on which one does develop an emotional connect, you can purchase it. Okay, then let's talk about production engineering. Production engineering, manufacturing science, or manufacturing practice, or manufacturing technology, all of them mean pretty much the same thing. The best books are, one is a foreign author, one is a Desi author. So one recommendation is going to be by Sarup Kilpegjian, this one over here, and the other book that I'll be recommending actually comes in 2 volumes, and this is Manufacturing Technology by P.N. Rao. One is Metal Cutting and Machine Tools, while the other is Foundry Forming and Welding. Both the books have been very well written. The description of all the processes have been very elaboratively done, and it's going to be a very good experience for all of you if you go through them, right? If you are a university student, if you are an Indian student, you can purchase these 2 books. Okay, no problem. Also go through Kalpakjian. If you have time in your hand, which I assume that you have, you should also read this book by Sarup Kalpakjian. It's amazing. He has written very beautifully, right? And a lot of Indian authors have been inspired from this book. Let me tell you quite frankly, you know what inspired means. And this book by Dr. Swadesh Kumar Singh from Made Easy Publications, again, is a wonderful addition to your bookshelf. Particularly if you are an aspirant for GATE or engineering services, this is going to help you very much, right? Everything has been compiled and everything has been sequenced in a beautiful manner, and it is very comprehensive. The book is very thorough, right? You can go through it in a matter of 10 days or 15 days if you want to finish the subject. Okay, Heat and Mass Transfer. The best book is by Holman. That is the best book, right? Beautiful diagrams, beautiful illustrations, beautiful piece of writing, very casual feel you are going to get, and the mathematics involved is also quite clear and quite comprehensive, right? I won't say any more. This is a wonderful addition again to your bookshelf of mechanical engineering. And then Mr. P.K. Nag, what can I say? A salute to Dr. P.K. Nag. He has done some extensive work in mechanical engineering, and so with this subject of heat and mass transfer. So do solve the problems from this book, Heat and Mass Transfer by P.K. Nag. Wonderful, wonderful. Refrigeration and air conditioning. Again, I won't have to say more. Book by C.P. Arora. This is my go-to book, and I have read it when I was in my BE program of 4 years. Wonderful edition, right? Go through it. C.P. Arora, wonderful book. I won't say more. And if you want to solve more number of numericals, if you want a much more elaborative version of the different processes, right, of the Bell-Coleman cycle, let's say, then this is also a very good addition. P.L. Balani. Okay, Mr. P.L. Balani has also written a book on theory of machine that also is equally good. If you want elaborate discussions on a particular numerical, then this is going to be very helpful for you for theory of machines also. But again, as far as my recommendation goes, I would suggest the book by C.P. Arora, right? Industrial engineering, well, to every person, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. I have consulted few teachers, few of my subscribers who are preparing for various examinations. Which book do you use for industrial engineering and production management? All of them recommended me this one, Martin Tilson. I won't talk much about this subject because I've never taken this subject. Now guys, let us talk about the final subject, that is going to be operations research, and my go-to book always has been the one by Hira and Gupta. This is it. The second recommendation, if you are pretty much into foreign author books, then you should read the one by Hamdi A. Taha. But again, the number of numericals that this book is going to cover, Hira and Gupta, well, it's awesome, wonderfully written. Now, I don't know whether you have heard about him or not, Dr. G. Srinivasan. He is a professor in IIT Madras, and his lectures in NPTEL are very, very famous. If you have not seen those lectures on operations research, you must go through them. And if you have a course, this particular course is studied in 3rd or 4th year of engineering, right? If I'm not wrong, go through his lectures. It's amazing. The way he teaches is absolutely amazing. Okay, and I have a lot of respect for Dr. Srinivasan. A salute from my side. How wonderfully he teaches. I'm his absolute fan. So guys, that was all from my side for today. The links are there in the description. Go ahead, click on those links, and if you want to purchase them, do purchase it. All these recommendations are wonderful, and as a mechanical engineer or as a civil engineer, your bookshelves deserve some real good books, and my recommendations are going to really help you. Right? So guys, that was all for today. I'm going to see you again in the next video. Until then, take care, have a nice day, keep learning, keep watching, and thank you.